ID and class? Answer, ID is unique and should be used only once per page. Class can be reused on multiple elements. You can see the code in our conversation history. What are semantic HTML tags? Answer, semantic tags describe the meaning of content and improve accessibility and SEO. You can see the code in our conversation history. 3. Difference between display none and visibility hidden. Answer, display none, visibility hidden, hidden. Element removed from layout, space reserved, not visible, not visible. You can see the code in our conversation history. 4. What is the difference between Flexbox and Grid? Answer, Flexbox, one-dimensional layout, row or column. You can see the code in our conversation history. Grid, two-dimensional layout, rows and columns. You can see the code in our conversation history. Hanashtar 5, explain Bootstrap grid system. Answer, Bootstrap uses a 12-column responsive grid. You can see the code in our conversation history. 6. Difference between container and container fluid. Answer, you can see the code in our conversation history. Fixed width at breakpoints. You can see the code in our conversation history. Full width, 100%. Now 7. What is accessibility? WCAG. Answer, accessibility ensures websites can be used by everyone, including users with disabilities. Examples, proper heading hierarchy, alt text, keyboard navigation, color contrast. You can see the code in our conversation history. 8. What are ARIA labels? Answer, ARIA improves accessibility when native HTML is insufficient. You can see the code in our conversation history. 9. What is responsive design? Answer, design that adapts to desktop, tablet, and mobile devices. You can see the code in our conversation history. 10. What is clamp in CSS? Answer, creates responsive typography without media queries. You can see the code in our conversation history. 11. Difference between relative and absolute position. You can see the code in our conversation history. Answer, relative, positioned from normal position. Absolute, positioned relative to nearest position parent. Number 12. What is CSS specificity? Answer, priority order. You can see the code in our conversation history. Example, you can see the code in our conversation history. Red wins because ID has higher specificity. Number 13. What are pseudo classes? Answer, you can see the code in our conversation history, used to style element states. 14. What is lazy loading? Answer, loads images only when needed. You can see the code in our conversation history, improves performance. 15. How do you make a table header sticky? You can see the code in our conversation history. 16. How do you optimize website performance? Answer, minify CSS.js, lazy load images, use WebP images, reduce HTTP requests, use CDN, remove unused CSS. Now 17. What are Bootstrap breakpoints? Size SM5576px, MD768px, LG992px, XL 1200px, XXL 1400px. Example, you can see the code in our conversation history. 18. Difference between EM rem%px? Answer, you can see the code in our conversation history. px equals fixed, rem equals root element, em equals parent element, percent equals relative. Number 19. What is mobile first design? Answer, design starts from mobile screens and scales up. You can see the code in our conversation history. Number 20. How do you check accessibility? Answer, Lighthouse, Axe, DevTools, Wave, keyboard